Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Yes, I am filming this the same day that I filmed part 1. If you are new here, my name is Christina and I currently live and work in Santiago, Dominican Republic. Part 1 of this video, I was talking about my experience having to go to a specialist, a lab, and a pharmacy here in the DR. In this part of the video, I'm going to be comparing the major differences that I've noticed between the healthcare systems here and in the US. If you haven't seen part 1, I'm going to link it in the description below, and please make sure you watch that. Otherwise, I'm going to get started in the top 5 things I think are different between the healthcare here and in the US. The first difference that I wanted to talk about is how easy it is to see a specialist here. So as I mentioned before, I saw the school doctor once and then I had to go to a clinic in the US because I got tonsil stones again. Because of that, the doctor at the school that I work at didn't want to see me because she said at this point it was something a specialist needed to take care of. In my experience, I've been to a specialist in the US for something else. I had to wait about a month to get a telehealth appointment. Here, the school called on Monday, called 2 different places for specialists, and I got in by Tuesday. So the fact that you're able to get in so quickly and easily to a specialist, because she was an ears, nose, and throat doctor, is very surprising and very different than it is in the US. So that is number 1. The ease in which you can see a specialist. The second thing that I wanted to talk about is the cost difference between medical care here and medical care in the US. Now, for granted, I do have health insurance here, but my health insurance is very, very basic. And I do have health insurance in the US, but the cost is still crazy, crazy different. So I went to a specialist, like I mentioned multiple times, and the consultation cost about $17 US with my insurance. Granted, the average salary here is much lower, but that is still quite cheap to see a specialist, in my opinion. When I went to the US to go to the clinic over Christmas because I got tonsil stones again, even with my insurance, I believe it came out to be about $120. So the difference in cost is definitely extreme. I don't, again, know what the cost would have been if I didn't have insurance, but I know it would not have been over $100. That's very, very high. The third difference I wanted to talk about between medical system here and in the US is the fact that in a lot of doctors' offices here, you cannot make an appointment. So when I went to the clinic, I didn't have an appointment. I went and I took a number, like I said, and you just have to wait your turn, and that can take all day, literally. So that's not a fun experience. In the US, usually you can make an appointment and you go in at your time. You still have to wait a little bit, but you have an appointment. Here, where I went at least, it's not like that, and from what I understand, a lot of offices are, they operate that way. You can't make an appointment. You just have to go and just wait. So there's people who were not able to go take their number and leave. They waited from about 8 a.m. until about 2 p.m. Thankfully, I just went, took my number, and left. But if you don't have the option, you do have to just sit and wait. The fourth difference that I would like to talk about is the fact that here in the DR, basically everything medical is separate. And what I mean by that is in the US, in my experiences at least, when you go to a doctor's office, if you need tests done, you usually get them done in the lab in that office. I know some tests are very specific and you might have to go somewhere else, but in my experiences, I've usually gotten testing done at that clinic. Here, it's not like that. So I went to the clinic, I got my consultation with the doctor, and then the lab results that I needed to get, I did not get at her clinic because it was going to take way longer than me going to a different clinic. So you can take your little prescription to get, or whatever it's called, to get the lab results and go to any lab you want and get them done. Additionally to that, you don't have a pharmacy linked to anything. Like in the US, a lot of the times they'll send your prescription directly to a pharmacy that you chose, and you go to that pharmacy and pick it up. Here, you get a prescription, you go to any pharmacy, and you can get the medication there. So everything is separate. So I went to one doctor for my consultation, I went to a separate lab that the school recommended for me, and then I went to some random pharmacy that was really close to the clinic. And then the second time I had to get meds, I went to a totally different pharmacy. So everything is separate, it's not as streamlined, and it's not as controlled. Okay, so the fifth, and in my opinion, the biggest difference between healthcare here and in the US is the fact that medication is not very regulated at all. And by that, I mean you can go to pretty much any pharmacy and get almost any medication that you want, whether or not you've seen a doctor for a problem or if you're just self-medicating. So if I wanted, I could go right now to a pharmacy and get any antibiotic that I wanted. I wouldn't need it to be prescribed to me. Whereas in the US, everything has to be prescribed. I understand that there are certain medications that are regulated, but it's very few, and most likely you would be able to find a way of getting them. So medication here is very not regulated at all. Because of this, I've understood there's a problem with self-medicating, often using antibiotics or painkillers. So that is not great for sure. So that is it. Those are my top 5 differences that I've noticed between the medical care system here and the medical care system in the US. I'm not trying to bash either one. I just wanted to kind of comment on the differences because I have experience going to doctors in the US and doctors now here in the DR. Again, if you haven't watched part 1 of this video about me just talking a little bit about the process to get to see a specialist, make sure you do so. If you haven't already, please like and subscribe, and I will see you on my next video. Bye.